So let's switch the wireless LAN on, and here's the LAN button in action there. So you have to click the button and then you have to press Wi-Fi or Bluetooth.
Yep.
There's no keyboard shortcut for that, so that's the only way to turn on and off Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So I've got it connected to a local hotspot down here, so we'll just wait for that to connect. That's connected, and then we'll kick off a few websites. So Tech Meme loading up. Now I've got the grab and drag. Let's get rid of that. Got the grab and drag plugin installed, and while the website is loading, actually let me just check. I've got this switched to. Yep, it's on portable laptop mode. So grab and drag on the 1.2 gigahertz processor is kind of good in most places, but there's, and actually TechMeme is one of those sites. It doesn't seem to work that smoothly. If we go to Engadget, and this should load pretty quickly.
Yeah, I can do the same with mine, and mine is 1.1 without hyper-treating, so
yeah,
actually that gives a good
comparison. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Engadget's kind of really nice and smooth, to be honest. Not perfect, but very usable on the grab and drag. I've got flash turned off at the moment. I was testing it against the Arcos 5. Let's switch that on. But it doesn't make that much difference. Switch flash on. And this is the great thing about it. You can just turn things on and off at will. So, enable flash. And we'll F5, reload. You should see the advertising at the top. There you go. And once that's started, yeah, that's pretty much loaded. I mean, there might be a second or two extra time when you got Flash installed, but it's not that bad at all. I'm using Firefox 3.6 here, and I have to say, I really have noticed that Firefox 3.6 is faster. Some people are saying there's not much difference, but I think Laptop Mag even measured 15% difference, but it seems to be noticeable.
Yeah. Okay, let's try again. I actually crashed my Firefox.
Let's go to Reader. Let's see how quickly this loads up. And 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 seconds. Everything's loaded. And that's really good. Try doing that on your smartphone. Even on the 3GS, that will actually, that's a page that needs 1024 by 600, so don't try it on the 3GS because you'll get lost. Yeah. And let's go full screen on that to give you an idea of the sort of text you can view on one page. There you go. And nice thing about Reader is keyboard shortcuts. N, O for open. What's it? K, L, L, L. Yeah. It's a really nice way to get through Google Reader, that one. I haven't got any other apps running in the background, so let's do that now and kick off a few more apps. In terms of processing power and memory, some people are going to be worried about the 512 meg, and if you're thinking in terms of normal PC usage, yeah, 512 meg is a big problem. But this is a device that needs to be kept nice and clean because you're going to use it as a nice, quick, efficient tool while you're on the go. So if you're only doing that sort of stuff with it, Firefox, Skype, TweetDeck, maybe a couple of messaging programs also running in the background, there shouldn't be a problem. I've been running it with 4, 5, 6 Firefox tabs and Skype and TweetDeck, having the media player running in the background as well, and it hasn't been swapping. And on boot, even with this device, which isn't optimized, there was about 150 meg, I think maybe more actually, free. There was about 37 processors, which is way more than you get on normal XP Home. So I think if you were to clean this up, you'd find that it wouldn't be too bad for normal usage. You just have to remember to basically not run too much. I think 4 apps would be tops.
And not too many add-ons on the Firefox. They also need some CPU time. So
that's right. Yeah. So
my Firefox is crashing here now. So
that's not good. So that gives you an idea of using it on TweetDeck, and you can get 3 columns across and 5 messages down. Unfortunately, there's no screen dragging on TweetDeck, which is really annoying. But
it is, yeah.
You can use the. I tend to use Twirl more on these small screen devices, so you can you can change the font sizes on Twirl nicely as well.
Can you scroll with the touchscreen?
No, you can't. But it's the same. It's still a video.
Yeah.
You could use Dabber, I suppose, which is a nice little UI for the browser, but of course you don't get the automatic updates for that, and none of the cool features they get in TweetDeck.
Yeah.
But anyway, TweetDeck runs nicely. Skype, no problems at all with voice, and without headset you can use it with the built-in mic and speaker, no problem at all. Video, yeah, kind of borderline. I mean, it seems to work without knocking the quality of the audio, so there's no disadvantage really to running video if you want to run video, but it won't run that smoothly. I actually found the M1 to be a little bit smoother on video than the BZ, but then I had the 1.3 gigahertz version, I think.
Yeah, and I think actually the graphics are double the bus speed on the 1.33. It has 400 megahertz bus on the graphics side, where this one has only 200, like on mine, which is 1.1 gigahertz.
Yeah.
But then again, the 1.1 doesn't hypertreat, which this one does. So
yeah. One of the other issues on the M1 was the screen angle. I think on the M1 it only opened to about that much, which meant if you were typing, the screen was pointing too far down. It was pointing at your stomach. But now that extra, I don't know, it's only 15 degrees or so. It's made a world of difference. It doesn't go flat. It would be nice if it went flat, but it doesn't. But it's not an issue anymore. It's not really something to be too concerned about. So that's. And the one other thing I really like about clamshells is basically close to standby, and that will go into standby now, and then after 20 minutes into hibernation, and it seems to be really, really reliable and use very, very little battery power in standby and hibernation, so it's really usable in that way. So this is what I was saying about not having to worry too much about that Bluetooth Wi-Fi not coming on per default on booting the device. So that's off into standby now, so open it up, push the button, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5 seconds, 6 seconds, and you're fully on, and then the Wi-Fi is connecting, and I guess that takes another 5 to 10 seconds depending on what sort of Wi-Fi you're using, where you are, etc, etc. Always gives a warning that Bluetooth has been disconnected. Don't know why.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. So the other advantage with devices with a small amount of RAM is the hibernation speed, because I can demonstrate that now. Let's go into hibernation, and doesn't really matter how long it takes to go into hibernation, but you'll see coming out of hibernation how long it takes. It's pretty swift. It's going to take a little while to go into hibernation, I think. Yeah, it's starting to go into hibernation now. Not too quick to go into hibernation.
Yeah, so actually 2 gigs on the device like that without really fast SSD is quite slow on hibernation.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that would take maybe a minute with 2 gigs on the SSD.
On that one, yeah.
So the SSD write speed is something like 15 megabytes, 20 megabytes, I think, second.
Yeah.
Read speed is around 40 on this 32 gig version, and I think that matches with the 32 gig versions of the M1, and the 16 gig versions were quicker, 50 megabyte write.
Actually, there were like two different SSD on 32 gigs, so the latest one are the same speed. So, but again, not that much difference. Like
Right. Okay.
40 slash 20. So.
All right. So let's come out of hibernation then. We'll time this. And 3, 2, 1, go. Right. It takes about 8 seconds to get through the BIOS, and it's about 15 seconds to go to the hibernation. You can see that zooming through now. That's 10 seconds. 15, 19, 20, 21 seconds. So pretty swift for hibernation, and that's one of the advantages of having a small amount of RAM. So my advice is to have this standby on close and then hibernation maybe 20 minutes later. There's no need to worry too much about that extra 10 seconds, I guess.
Yeah.
That depends what you want. Leave it on standby if you want the 6 seconds. Go for hibernation if you want 20 seconds. Switch it off if you want 45 seconds.
But also, depending what software you leave it running, just closing the screen saves a lot of battery. So having it just screen off is also a way to go.
Yeah.
I tried to use actually the M1 like that, and it's actually pretty okay on a Jacket Pocket if the screen is just closed. So.
Yeah. So we switched it on at 2150 and it's now 2210, let's say. Let's have a look at the battery life that's left. Oh, that's one thing to mention. There's no remaining time indicator on the battery meter.
Yeah. Same.
So 94% battery. So only 6% for 20 minutes is 18% per hour. Let's say 20% per hour, which is 5 hours. And we weren't leaving that idle. And that matches with my usage, which is 5 hours if you're just doing basic browsing, basic usage, on and off, plus reading
plus
stuff.
Off.
Yeah.
Plus off. Yeah. Remember plus off.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. I mean, if you're keeping it down to sort of one tab, if you're going to run it with 10 tabs, you'll kill the CPU. Kill the CPU. But I'd say fairly careful use of the device. 5 hours Wi-Fi on, no problem. 4 hours is a definite in most scenarios, and probably you could do Skype video, which is a huge, heavy load on it, for 3 hours. Video between 5 and 6 hours, depending on codecs. And music with screen off for 10 or more hours, I would say, actually.
Yeah, on my use, the M1 was giving 4.5 hours on like Skype on the background and maybe 2-3 tabs open on Firefox. Yeah. Basic use what I do with the UMPC. So.
Sure. Now, if you really want to be careful with this battery uses on this device, switch flash off and switch it down to battery saving mode, which runs at 600 megahertz. Right down to 600 megahertz, and actually it's not bad at all. Page load times on Firefox 3.6 are as fast as any smartphone, and faster. And of course, you get to read the page as soon as it loads, rather than having to zoom in as well. So there's really, at 600 megahertz, it's still processing JavaScript way faster than any smartphone. Double the speed of the fastest smartphones out there. So something to think about, really. If you're a web pro, I think you just can't knock having full Firefox on an x86 processor. There's nothing that compares. Still, although you're going to say droid.
No, it doesn't compare. That's for sure.
Good. Glad you agree.
It's you get to do cool stuff with that, but you just can't compare x86 power on the internet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And
the application support, again, doing something you want to do, so you want to upload, you want to download, it just works with this, where on cell phones there is so many small things that really start to matter when you need to do stuff.
Absolutely. One of the great example of, I was telling you about this yesterday, yesterday morning I woke up and I flipped open the UMID. Skype had been running in the background, so that fired up. TweetDeck fired up, and immediately within 30 seconds of switching on the device, I had a notification on Skype and a direct message on TweetDeck that my site was down. So it didn't take me 5 minutes to download PuTTY, to log into my website, restart Apache, and I was done and out. It was a 5-minute job. Now, if that had been on a smartphone, I'm sure it would have been more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, you can prepare yourself for those sort of things. You do that regularly, you'll find a nice process that will work on a smartphone. And of course, then I had to go into my WordPress backend and start just checking stuff because some things hadn't come up properly. So, yeah, it was all normal desktop processes lying in my bed, which is one of the great things about the UMPC is you could just rely on that to be able to use that process.
Yep.
All right, so let's end this section in a few minutes, and that'll be after your questions. So,
yep.
If you're
So
just going to say, if you're in the chat room, if you're watching live, log into the chat room if you've got questions, and put your questions up now. For the next 5-10 minutes, we'll answer questions, and then we'll close this section of the video down and go into a little bit more detail on some other stuff around video or web or whatever you want. Right, first question. How well can you type when you have a headset plugged in? It's a very good question, one that I need to demonstrate. So let me grab a little let's simulate a headset. 1 second. Just switch the cam so you can see what I'm doing. So this is a headset with a right angle, and this is not too bad. But if it was a longer one, it would get in the way. So it isn't positioned perfectly for mobile typing use. That's true, but it's not too bad at all. Thumb typing speed, yeah, I would say you're up to about 60% of normal typing speed. That's generally the case for these small scissor type thumb boards.
And you have to learn the key positions because there are some. It's not a regular keyboard. So
yeah, it's a little bit of a learning curve, and then you probably can get yourself up to 60, maybe 70%. On the U820, I can get even higher on that now. I can get up to 80%. I can whiz through that, quite amazing. But yeah, let's just say 60 to 70%. So not too bad when you consider basic thumb boards, or BlackBerry type thumb boards are around 40%, 50%, and then on-screen keyboards can be anything down to 30%. So depending on what type of on-screen keyboard. Of course, some of the good keyboards on the iPhone and the Android are very intelligent and correct mistakes. And although when you start getting to punctuation, that's when on-screen keyboards can really slow down, because you have to switch modes and all this sort of stuff, and you don't get the function keys and that sort of stuff. No shortcuts and
question marks and such. It's a pain.
Yeah. Okay. The feel of the keyboard, yeah, as I said, it's a scissors type action, reasonable quality. There's a little bit of flex in the middle, nothing to worry about though. Mechanically good quality, I would say. And the UMID M1, which JKK has there, is still functioning 100% JKK?
Yeah.
So I think the quality is reasonable. Well, we've seen this keyboard on other devices as well, I think.
Yeah, the keyboard is okay for functions. Same goes with actually the main board and screen and stuff like that. It's all okay quality.
Yeah.
So I thought the battery was dead, but actually then I just really put the cord a few times back and it was cool. So
yeah,
even after, how old is this? Like a year old now? No.
I think it was Q1, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like. So
someone
in that sense, I think it's okay.
So someone was asking about screen rotation. There's the device in rotated mode. The mouse pointer doesn't work in that mode, but the touchscreen works okay. So there you go. There's a reader. It's a tablet. It's a dual screen tablet.
Yeah, and it's the same with M1. You could do the same, and the touchscreen works just like it should be.
Yeah. So it's Control, as with all GMA 500 based devices, it's Control Alt and then the arrow keys to change the direction. So this should be that way now. There you go. And you can even change it to upside down. So if you want to use it that way, you can.
Yep.
So that works nicely. Good question. Sound from the mono speaker, pretty tinny but quite loud. So kind of FM, lower transistor radio, or a little bit more than transistor radio quality.
Yeah.
Good
So in Steve's talk, it's not that good, but loud for me. That's perfect actually. Watching you do
good enough.
With that
Good enough for
speaker
Skype. Good enough for Skype. Chili. Did someone call me Chili? Mobilia. Battery life, we've talked about that. We're talking about between 4 and 6 hours of battery life depending on usage and Wi-Fi usage. Linux drivers, Glooby, be careful. The GMA 500 has very iffy Linux drivers. Not iffy. There's very little out-of-the-box support for the GMA 500. So Ubuntu and Mandriva are probably the two best bets for the for looking at Linux. There's plenty of hacks out there for those two distros. Can you use the mouse buttons when it's upside down? Not really. The of course the mouse position will change, and the optical mouse pointer goes back to front. So no. N5 coming in at under $800. Yes. We think it could be
basic version
500 or under 500. So that's going to be a competitor when it comes out. On the N5 though, we'll probably get our demo version in March, which means it may not even be end of March before it becomes available. So
yeah.
another 3 months possibly. GMA 500 is Power VR based, correct? Exactly the same core as the iPhone 3GS. Right. How do you compare it with Via UX in Pocketable? This is way more pocketable than Via UX, although the UX of course is pretty damn small. And heat.
So these are really pocketable in a way of jacket pocket or briefly a few seconds in a trousers pocket, where UX is definitely not. It's way bigger.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a huge device, but let's talk about heat. No heat on the bottom of that at all. But if you've got this charging, or if you play videos for a long time, I did notice a little bit of heat build up. But of course, videos you'll probably be watching on the table, and if you're charging it, you probably won't be using it at the same time. Anyway, as far as 3G versions go, we don't know. The only thing I do know is that they are working on a 1 gig version with Windows 7 for Q3. That's new news. I had that today. So it's not going to come out soon. And I don't understand why it doesn't come out soon, because I just can see a lot of people paying $50 for the extra 512. It makes absolute sense on XP. It gives them that confidence that they need. So yeah, okay. What's better, the OQO or that horribly small Porter PC? Well, this is way better, because the OQO was that VSC7 based device, which was pretty damn hot and loud. In terms of engineering, though, that OQO keyboard was better, I think.
It depends.
Yeah, it was.
It was all left, so I hated that. The number keys on the right side, I just hate that. And you have to remember, of course, OQO have only like 2-hour battery life on the normal batteries. So
yeah, I mean, in terms of value for money, I mean, how much was the OQO? It went. Special offers started at like $899, I think, and this is
at the end, but on the start it was like cheapest one was like $1,600 or something.
Yeah. Okay, we'll carry on with some more questions in a minute, but I just want to close down this part of the video session. So this is Chippy with the MBook BZ. sent over from UMID. JKK Mobile also with us today as well on the video. So
Yep.
if you're interested in the MBook BZ, we're doing this unsponsored. No one's paying for this. The only thing that helps us survive is if you buy devices through our affiliates. So if you're interested in this device, please think about buying it through our affiliates, and you can go to any of our sites, to the product database, and you'll see advertising, and also I think on the front page of your website as well, JKK Mobile. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're thinking of trying to get a sponsor, but we kind of like not having a sponsor.
Yeah, it's nice
So
to
if
play
we
with
can,
that.
if we can support these sessions through purchases through affiliates, then it works for us. It works for you, of course, as well. So the other thing we could do is make this a pay-per-view session. How much would you guys pay? No, let's end the video there, and we'll talk about that afterwards. All right. Thanks everyone for watching, and if you're watching a recording of this, check out part 2, where we'll be going into maybe some video and a bit more detail about browsing as well. But that's it for part 1. So thanks for watching. Catch up with you on the next video.